How's everybody doing? And thanks for tuning in to Wicked Warnings, your number one source for construction, emergency, and safety lighting equipment for cars, vans, buses, bicycles, tricycles, everything in between, including these brand new Chevrolet Colorado. Now, this is a 23. They did a couple revisions here on the 23. It's a little different, a little newer. So make sure you take that into account when you order things like the back rack. The brackets are unique for 23. They don't fit for the older ones. What are we looking at right here? Well, it's a combination build. We went with the customer and decided on this particular build we're going to do sound off on the corners. So in the front here, we've got a 4-inch amber white mpower. We went with that because this is a base truck, has basic black plastic grill, and we just surface mounted those VHB quick mount sound off M-Powers in 4-inch amber white. That's the inner cycle pattern you're looking at right there. We surface mounted them right in the grill here. This is a public works truck for Fox Metro. It's going to be out during the daylight hours, and it is a municipal truck, which means it'll be used for this purpose until the day that it's dead. So we didn't have a problem drilling a hole in the grill and mounting those lights right there on the front where they're going to make the most impact. Now, customer requested an amber white light bar, so we went with the Phoenix Quantum 49-inch light bar. Now, that is custom order. We don't stock that daily yet at the time of the video film. That's not an in-stock item. It will be special ordered. But as you can see, it's fully programmable. We went with a pattern that's called Attack, I believe. Has a lot of variety in it, but of course you can pick any patterns you like. And with this quantum bar, you can also have the capability to do all 4 colors if you purchase into that. These clients here only needed 2 colors. They did request that the entire bar was amber and white, which is what we gave them. And for this use, it's a single switch setup, very easy. 1 switch for the main power, 1 switch for the light bar. As you can see, it does work without the truck running. They're aware of that power draw. They know that they're not going to leave it on for a long period of time, and 99.9% of the time when this vehicle is working, it is going to be running. So it really isn't a big deal for the power draw when the vehicle is running. Alrighty, here's your side shot. You can see we mounted that on a back rack. Now we chose the back rack with the mesh screen just to add a little bit more protection, and because I think it looks a little better on a light bar because it's a little bit wider of a rack. And here we are behind the vehicle. We did choose a sound off signal hideaway. It's a dual color hideaway, not yet offered on our website, but coming soon. That's an amber white hideaway light. You can choose both colors. I like that it matches up with the patterns available on the mpower lights as well. And it went very easily into the side of that reverse cavity on the tail light of this brand new Colorado. Being a base model Colorado has base model tail lights, so it was very easy to add a hideaway in there. If we couldn't have done that, we probably would have went with something underneath the tail gate above the bumper. As I said, above that, you can see the back rack installed. We used standard back rack light bar mounting brackets, and we faced them forward for this light bar. We did have to bend the antenna down just a little bit to go underneath the light bar, but it's not going to hurt it in any way, just to have a little curvature there and end up right underneath the light bar. Now, you could flip those brackets if you wanted, face the light bar over the bed. Either way, it would work fine. As you can see, we elected to keep all that bed space free for large items if need be, and have the light bar hang over the cab of the truck. Now, there are other brackets also made by Phoenix for that light bar that would center mount that light bar. Phoenix makes a headache mount bracket for the Fusion Series light bars. If you prefer that light bar to be center mounted, then you would not use the back rack version, which is what we have. That is, again, the back rack version light bar bracket that's on there now that either puts the light bar forward or backward of the rack as shown, or you could go with a center mount by the light bar manufacturer Phoenix, and it would center mount the light bar on the rack. You may need to use a spacer to clear the ends of the rack on the Phoenix mount. I haven't tried that yet on this, so worst case you'll have to use a spacer or clip the ends of that back rack down. Here you can see how the wiring for the Phoenix Quantum, we brought it right down the side of the rack here and zip tied it here, and it's going to go underneath and come up through the floor of the truck nice and tidy. That way, if they ever needed to remove the rack and light bar as one unit, it would be as simple as cutting the power wire and the data wire. Of course, after disconnecting it fully from the battery, we'll cut that free underneath the vehicle, and this entire rack and light bar can come off very easily. You could, if you really even wanted to, you could put some heavy duty connectors in here if you felt the need to take it off regularly. Now, I will say the funny thing about these Phoenix Quantum light bars is it's not really conducive to try to do a single switch on them. The way the quad converter works, you need to power the main, which is the quad converter. So we had a 2-switch setup here, and that is needed if you want the unit to work with the key off. We wanted the unit to work anytime, key on, key off, whatever. So what we've done here is we've used the main power right here for our corner lights and our main quad converter power, and then here we have our light bar power. We ran into an issue when we tried to do everything off of one switch, so again we needed to split the light bar triggers from the quantum converter. We're using trigger 1 and 2 on this switch, and we're using this switch as the main power for the quantum. And then, of course, this switch would then power that one. So when this one is on, it powers the main quantum unit, the quad converter for the quantum light bar. It powers that, which is tucked in behind the dashboard there, and also sends power over to this switch, which will then power the trigger 1 and trigger 2 on that quad converter. And that is how we were able to make this work. Your results may vary. If you have a different way of doing it, let me know. But for a fleet build, this was just fine because once in a while they might just want the corner lights. So it gives them the option to run main and corners, and of course add in the light bar whenever they feel they want to. And we just went with a red and a yellow 3/4 push-in switch. We did, of course, fuse that light bar on the battery. We also fused our main power for the corners. So there's 2 battery fuses in this kit, one for the main light bar, one for our switching and everything here, and our corner lighting. And it's a fairly easy system to put together. So to talk about this system, we're going to kind of break it up a little bit into 2 halves. The back rack we are not providing. We don't get into shipping the back racks. I'm happy to provide them if you want to pick them up here at the shop. But if you need the back rack shipped, there are plenty of online retailers that specialize in that area. So I'm going to let you source the back rack online. We're not going to provide that. However, if you want the center mount headache rack brackets and the light bar, those are both special order. They're made by Phoenix. We're direct with them. You can get them through us, but they are not an in-stock item. And there's a special order quad 49-inch light bar, and it will come with the headache rack brackets that are not shown in this video. These are the back rack brackets, which you'll need to source on your own if you prefer to use those. Now, having said that, that's the special order part of it that's not included right off the shelf. What we do have here in stock, and what we'll be able to include for this package if you don't want the back rack and the headache rack, is the 4-inch mpowers in the front grille, amber white, the amber white sound off signal hideaways for the rear, and the wiring needed to complete this install. So this is going to be fairly simple. We're going to run with a 30-foot piece of 18.5. That's going to head from your switches to the rear of the truck. It's going to give you all the functionality that you could ever want once you marry together the 2 sound-off hideaways in the rear. Sound-off hideaways have enough wire that you can put them into the lens and connect the 2 together behind the driver's tail light and attach it to your 18.5 and run it forward to your switch. Whether you use all of the features of the 18.5 is totally up to you. You can use power and ground or power and ground and flood, whatever you like to set up that light as. In the front here are mpower 4-inch amber whites we're going to extend with 22-5. We're going to give you 30 feet of 22-5. That way you can extend each one of those from the grill to the back of the switch. Behind the switch, you'll be able to set your pattern, synchronize, do all the features that the mpower provides, and attach it to the switch for power and ground, etc. We're also going to give you a fuse kit and 25-foot piece of 16-2, and that's going to run from the battery to the switch. The fuse is going to be at the battery. It's going to provide you fuse and power for all of the corner lighting. We're going to give you 2 switches, a red one and an amber one, 3/4-inch flush mount, full illumination, as you saw in the photo. And those switches are going to be able to be wired in to do either front and rear, or as shown in this video, or you may delete one of the switches if you wish. Now, talking about the wiring on that Quantum 49-inch light bar, comes factory with 15 feet of wire, so you'll need to extend that. I'm going to try to order these with 25 feet of wire. I'm going to try to make sure all the light bars on Wicked Warnings are ordered with extra long wire, so you have enough to get all the way to the battery without having to extend it. So we'll update everything with the light bar information if we have any. And if you have any questions on this video, please, of course, reach out to us ahead of time. We need to communicate to make sure that you get everything set up and you understand everything before ordering. That's the best policy. So I hope you enjoyed this video of a 23 Colorado that we did here at Wicked Warnings. Once again, just to recap, that's 4-inch mpowers in the front and a sound off signal, dual color amber white, hideaway in the rear, taillights, reverse section, as well as a 49-inch quantum light bar by Phoenix, ran off of a quad controller hidden behind the dashboard. All these items fairly easy to program and, as you can see, very effective. Thanks again for watching Wicked Warnings. Any questions or comments, let us know. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.